This week on Talking Real, we bring you 7 issues facing housing in 2021. Some are good, some are concerning, but either way, we'll find a way to address all these this coming year.
Do these match up with what you think 2021 would look like? Find out.
Welcome back to Talking Real, brought to you by the Oklahoma Association of Realtors. This is episode 156 of Talking Real, and we're here in the studio, just your hosts, Jeff and Nabil. All alone today, the two of us.
All alone. Where are our guests?
Oh, they're coming. They're coming. But Nabil, how's your day?
It's going well. I just wish someone had thought of heated pants or heated shoes.
They have those.
No
you
way.
Can get those. Yeah, sure. Probably. I assume if you looked for them, you could find those. But
heated shoes would be nice to walk on the ice.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, I hope everybody stayed safe out there. We had some slick roads last night. Everything's all good today, but it's just going to be frigid for a while. Good luck.
We might break the record. They said 13 days in a row, stayed below freezing. We might touch that.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good luck to everybody. Stay warm out there and stay safe. And I hope that all of our heaters continue to work. Which happened to us last year during the winter. Our heater went out and it was really cold, but we got it fixed and hopefully it stays working this time.
Hopefully.
We do have some guests on the way, not for this episode, but future episodes. We're going to bring you some topics with guests on I'm just excited. A little forecast, some retirement planning for realtors, how to, save, and some options there to make sure you're saving for retirement. We're going to talk about real estate auctions. That's coming up.
Ooh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah. We're going to bring in somebody from Iowa. We're going to talk about what's going on in Iowa and have some collaboration there. I'm excited.
Yeah.
And we got lots more guests that are going to be coming up in the coming weeks and months here on Talking Real. So keep staying tuned. We're going to bring you all these experts and interesting people and stories.
That's right. So that's what's coming up. What do we have planned today?
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about 7 of the biggest housing issues, some good, some bad, that some real estate professionals have picked for 2021.
Yeah. Because we were talking about this. I was like, issues just sounds like it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
But you're like, it's not. It's just a thing.
Right. It's a thing. It's an issue. It's something that's going to be happening kind of to be dealing with in 2021. Again, some positive, some negative. But this was something that came from a HomeLight survey that they did where they surveyed a number of people. And these are things that we've talked about. They surveyed 1,000 real estate professionals nationwide. And this is what they came up with as some of the biggest issues that we're facing. And so we wanted to bring this to you just for thought. A lot of this is stuff that you've probably already thought about that you're seeing as well. But just, gives you that confirmation bias that you're on the right track on a lot of these things. But
you're not alone.
Just kind of what we can expect. So let's get right in. So the first issue that they have spotted is inventory shortages. And this has been something that we've obviously seen going on pretty significantly for the last year. 84% of the real estate professionals said that inventory was lower than they expected at the end of 2020. And that NAR has reported that inventory levels in November were down 22% compared to a year ago. So this is really significant. This is going to be something that obviously people are out there really concerned about, especially if you're trying to buy a home. If you're going to sell a home, things are moving extraordinarily quickly. Things are having multiple offers on them. It's just going to be kind of a wild time with this low inventory, substantially low inventory.
Yeah. Yeah. I've just, heard all these stories of people going in and it's closed within a day, less than a day. It's crazy.
Yeah. We just looked at some RPR data that came across. What was year over year from January of last year to January of this year. And it's like the active listings were half. The number of closings were up, which is interesting that there were more closings, but the actual number of listings was dramatically lower than what there was January of 2020. So that's going to be a continued concern going forward.
That's just eating away at the little bit of a safe storage of houses that we usually have.
Yeah. On the bright side, though, home values have increased quite a bit. Maybe too much. I don't know. I don't know. I know there's some appraisal issues out there going on, but yeah, that's the flip side of that.
Right. So kind of talking about the inventory issue, 50% of agents are saying that a widely distributed vaccine is going to boost consumer confidence, which will in turn probably convince or make people think about selling their house, which they've might have been a little hesitant about with people entering their homes or they're not wanting to move. This is going to convince them to maybe sell, which is going to help some of that inventory shortage. But since we have such a ridiculous shortage,
right,
that's probably not going to help too much.
Yeah, it'll probably take some time for that to normalize to some degree for sure. But hopefully, as we start to have more people vaccinated and we maybe start to see some of the, the spread of COVID go down, that we'll start to see more confidence,
right?
More people willing to sell, that kind of thing. Also help businesses stay open, not have issues there, more jobs. So we kind of reduce that unemployment back to where it was pre-pandemic level,
right?
And which would job security, those kind of things.
But then would that add more buyers to the market?
It certainly could. Certainly could.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. The next issue is 40% of the real estate agents believe that the end of forbearance and stimulus plans this year could cause an increase in foreclosures in the markets, which I certainly think could be an issue. I think we will see an increase. Now, a lot of that forbearance, though, they were tacking those payments onto the end of the mortgage. So even when the forbearance ends, as long as people can pick up where they left off and start paying their regular mortgage rates, then they're not going to have that foreclosure issue. So I think it's going to be understated compared to the people that needed to use forbearance versus those that actually get foreclosed on, because a lot of people will probably be able to continue their payments. This has been extended into October, I believe it is. So we're going to continue to see that forbearance, but they're tacking those payments on at the end. Not all of a sudden you get to the end and now you owe 12 months of payments all at once.
Right. And this is something we talked about when mortgage forbearance first came into the picture early last year, was making sure how your mortgage company was going to handle forbearance for you.
Right.
And it was important to make sure that tack those payments on at the end, because otherwise, as soon as the period ends, you're due all those payments, which would kind of end you up in a little bit of hot water there.
Right. And some of the other kind of mitigating factors is that if home prices have gone up, if somebody is in a place where they have to sell, maybe they're less likely to be underwater, so not as likely to be foreclosed on, or have to do a short sell where they could just sell the property and get out from underneath it. Again, being able to sell relatively quickly because of the low inventory right now. So hopefully that will help keep people from getting foreclosed on, even if they do have to have a change in their housing for some reason. So hopefully that will be okay and we don't see a huge spike.
Right. That would be good.
Yep.
If you don't see a huge spike.
Yep.
The next thing, not helping the inventory situation at all,
right,
is the low mortgage rates will continue to drive demand.
Yeah.
Right. And we kind of saw this, and agents across the nation and in the survey said, because of the low interest rates, 68% of agents reported that their renter clients decided to speed up their plans to purchase a home because the interest rates were so low. And 66% said the current homeowners opted to trade up faster to take advantage of those low interest rates.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of one of the main reasons the market has moved so fast, is also because interest rates were so low.
Absolutely. Yeah, they said 97% of the people that responded to this survey, so almost everyone, said that low mortgage interest rates increased buyer demand in their market. So obviously we're seeing that. So we're actually now in the process of looking at, we just bought our house a year ago, but because interest rates are even so much lower, we're actually looking at refinancing now, because it's like, man, they're so low that we could potentially save a significant amount of money just by refinancing.
Which is interesting, because just year over year, you could save so much by refinancing. So that's how much they've dropped, which is incredible.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we're going to continue to see that. Mortgage rates are going to stay low for a while. And when they do start to increase, it will probably be a slow increase. So we're going to absolutely continue to see that drive that demand, and people being willing to maybe buy a little bit higher end house with property prices going up. They're going to have to if they want the same house. So yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see how.
Or it might be quote unquote higher end at this point,
right?
If the value has risen so much,
right? Absolutely.
So 34% said that they expect mortgage rates to rise as people receive the vaccine and as the economy starts to improve and things start going back to normal.
Yeah, eventually, for sure. The next thing here is that a permanent shift to remote work could encourage more moves. This is certainly something we've talked about, that people are, many companies have gone to more availability of working from home or a permanent status of working from home, but a lot of people working from home now. That has triggered people looking for things like home office or even 2 home offices, because now that maybe they've got 2 people that are working from home,
maybe a backyard.
Yeah. And kids going to school from home has changed kind of what people are looking for. Now, obviously, as people get vaccinated and those kinds of things, we're going to see schools opening back up. That's already happening now. So we're going to have less of that, but I think we're going to continue to see some work from home for quite some time. And again, many businesses have looked at it and said, well, maybe this should just be our permanent thing, is we're going to go for more remote work. So we'll see how that develops, but that's certainly going to change how people buy houses, right? I know many people who are in a work from home situation who are like, my house just doesn't accommodate this very well. And so that will absolutely change how people buy houses and what they look for and need in a house on a continuing aspect. That'll probably be moderated over time, certainly, but I think we'll continue to see that.
Yeah, I do expect it to be higher than the average was before, right? Because even if, like, one, you said that this might be a permanent situation, or it might be something that someone's like, well, it's, since I am buying a house, it might be good to look into just having this home office in case I ever need it. Extra space never goes to waste, right?
Right.
You can use it as storage.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, don't go in that room.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that might be something just people consider in the future. Just, it'd be good to have, because you don't want to be put in the same situation again. Hopefully there won't be the same situation again.
Yeah.
And
it was interesting because 15% of the agents that responded said they thought this would actually be the biggest impact on the real estate market, was that working from home. That's not just one of the issues, but 15% actually thought it would be the biggest issue that could impact the real estate market. So kind of interesting that a lot of people think that's really important.
Yeah, that's just driving consumer behavior.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The next part is, I guess, the word escapes me. It's a little comforting.
Sure.
In a sense. Most people in the survey said that virus surges won't lead to further market panic, which is an interesting thing to think about, because, initially when everything happened, everything shut down and people had to pivot and reevaluate how they did things. But now, you're seeing things return to not business as normal, but business is happening with everything being taken into consideration. So further surges, people have learned how to deal with things remotely, and ideally things will continue to move at a regular pace without any major slowdowns.
Right. Yeah. People have kind of learned to adapt.
Right.
And so as we saw surges over, from Thanksgiving, from Christmas and New Year and all those kinds of things, we haven't seen necessarily that change the impact of people buying and selling homes, because we've kind of adapted to what do we need to do to make sure that people are comfortable with that. So people kind of put in all sorts of ways to handle that, and it's kind of been working.
And it's like a plan you have to fall back on, be like, okay, this is how we did it. We can continue that way.
Yep, exactly. And the last issue that we want to talk about is that affordability challenges persist and tax credits may help. So affordable housing issues are just continuing to be a problem. 37% of non-homeowners cite down payment as one of the biggest obstacles to home ownership. We've talked about this in a previous episode as well, the survey of home buyers and sellers. But it's a real issue, and especially now as we are seeing this pretty drastic increase in home values, that does make it for a first-time home buyer even feel a little bit more out of reach.
Right.
But there's some expectation that there may be some new tax credits that will come from the new administration. So we'll see. President Biden's proposed a $15,000 down payment tax credit for first-time buyers as a way to incentivize people to buy homes, give you a little bit off your taxes when you do that, which is kind of interesting. So we'll see if that actually comes to fruition or if that's just sort of a proposal. But that would certainly be a boost to first-time home buyers to be able to have some tax credit assistance to make that purchase, that would make that saving for a down payment, that kind of thing that feels overwhelming for people, make it a little bit more accessible.
Right. And especially when, like you were saying, prices are, kind of soaring, makes it that much more difficult. Now, it'd be interesting to see once this passes and what the language is, how it impacts or maybe couples with the homebuyer savings account.
Yeah.
That'd be, because then you've got a dual thing going where you're saving for a home and then you might get tax credits. I don't know if that will work together or if it'll be like you pick one or the other. That'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So don't forget, if you've got clients out there who are saving for a down payment, don't forget to recommend them that home buyer savings account. You can go over to oklahoma.realestate. We've got a bunch of resources there for you to help understand what that home buyer savings account is, how it works, and how to make sure that your clients can put that to use for them as they're looking to save or maybe contribute to a child's account for a first-time home purchase, something along those lines. So make sure you check that out because that's something cool that's new here in Oklahoma.
That's right. And that, you might not have heard that website before, not too many times, but that is oklahoma.realestate.
Yes.
Not our OKRealtors.com.
Absolutely. It's a different website, so check that out.
Yes.
We'll put a link in the show notes there to this report so that you can take a look at it and see some of the other information that's in there. But kind of interesting. So we'll see some positives. We'll see some negatives. It's going to be an interesting year in how that develops. But I'm sure we'll be back later in the year towards the end to see how it all shook out for sure. Again, we've got some awesome guests coming up in future episodes, so stay with us every Tuesday here on Talking Real so that we can talk to you about auctions and saving for retirement and all kinds of cool stuff that we've got coming up. And if you've got a recommendation for a guest on the podcast, go ahead and send us an email, reach out to us. Maybe you know somebody that's a colleague, that's a realtor out there who's got an interesting story, maybe has some sort of interesting background or way they do business, or maybe it's somebody, in a different industry that you think would be good on this podcast. Let us know who that is. Send us an email at podcast@OKRealtors.com and we'll reach out to them and get them on the podcast.
That's right. Or even if it's you.
And maybe it's you.
If you're thinking, hey, I would be fantastic on this podcast, we'd love to hear from you as well.
There you go. So keep checking it out and keep coming back every single week here on Talking Real. And as Nabil likes to point out, don't forget to
subscribe and rate us.
Absolutely.
And also, please write us a review because hearing from you always brightens up our day.
Absolutely, it does. So until next time, we'll see you next Tuesday on Talking Real.